What's up, guys? Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to Still Loading Loot. Wanted to talk about the upcoming game releases for this March. WoW will be releasing a new expansion. Bungie will be dropping Marathon. There is a co-op zombie shooter, as well as probably one of the biggest RPG games we've seen in a very long time. Now, if even one or two of these games succeeds, we're going to have a pretty packed March when it comes to games to play. Now, let's dive right into it. If you've ever touched WoW before, you're probably familiar with how this next one's going to go. The next expansion, Midnight, kicks off the next phase of the World Soul Saga. This time, the story revolves around a massive void storm threatening the world, and Blizzard is clearly leaning into a darker, high fantasy tone. We're getting a brand new specialization for Demon Hunters, a hybrid melee and ranged DPS. The animations look slick, but where it actually lands in the meta is still up in the air. On top of that, we've got new dungeons, delves, 3 raids rolling out through Season 1, and a new prey system focused on hunting targets across open world activities. And yes, housing is finally coming, which has been long overdue for WoW. Overall, it feels like Blizzard is sticking to a similar formula, but scaling it up in a meaningful way. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. I've been putting a solid amount of time into pre-patch over the past few weeks, and it's definitely keeping me interested in what's coming next. Whether you hate it or love it, WoW has been leading the MMO space for over 2 decades now. This game is going to bring in a large influx of players, whether new or returning, and I will definitely be there logging in myself. Now, let's take a look at Marathon. This game's a little bit of a wild card. I've made a video on this game in the past and where it could potentially slide into this specific genre for extraction shooters. Now, if you've been following this game at all, you're probably familiar with the initial controversy as well as the reception to the initial alpha that was released. However, it looks like Bungie might have turned this around a little bit. I have high hopes for it, so let's take a look. Bungie's officially stepping into the extraction shooter space, and from my knowledge, this is the first AAA studio to do so. We're talking PvPvE, squad-based combat, high risk, high reward. You drop in, complete objectives, fight other players, and if you don't extract, you lose everything. This is a genre built on tension. Every fight matters, every decision matters. Now, here's the real question. If the gunplay feels like peak Destiny, tight, responsive, satisfying, this game could absolutely dominate Twitch and competitive circles. Because when Bungie gets gunplay right, they really get it right. But in this genre, the feel of the game isn't enough. It has to nail progression, it has to nail balance, and it has to reward skill without punishing casual players into quitting. If they thread that needle, Marathon could be huge. If they can't, it's probably going to be a pretty rough month for them. This next one I'm watching closely, because when an RPG aims this high, it either becomes legendary or it collapses under its own ambition. Crimson Desert might be the biggest swing on this entire list. We're looking at a massive open world, not just wide, but dense. Dynamic events, large-scale battles, vertical exploration. The combat looks brutal but weighty. Every swing feels heavy. Every hit looks like it has an impact. This isn't floaty hack and slash. It looks deliberate and grounded. And the boss fights, they feel cinematic, multi-phase, spectacle-driven. The kind of encounters that are meant to be remembered. If this game even delivers 70% of what they've shown in the trailers and gameplay demos, it could absolutely be one of the RPGs of this year. But this is an ambitious project, big worlds come with big expectations, and if the systems are deep, the performance is stable, and the combat stays engaging long term, this could be something special. The potential is obvious, now it's just about the execution. Regardless, March 19th is going to be an interesting day. And then we have Mouse PI for Hire, probably one of the more unique games on this list. It's built around a 1930s, black and white cartoon aesthetic, rubber hose animations, exaggerated expressions, grainy film textures, but underneath that vintage style, it's a first-person shooter. And that contrast is what makes it interesting. You've got a noir detective vibes, layered over fast-paced gunplay, complete with old-school cartoon weapons and over-the-top effects. It looks charming, but also chaotic. The big question isn't style, they've clearly nailed that, it's depth. Does the gameplay loop have staying power? Does the shooting feel tight? Does the novelty wear off after a few hours? If the mechanics are as strong as the art direction, this could quietly become a cult favorite. Visually, it's one of the most unique games dropping all year. Whether the gameplay holds up, we'll see. Finally, we have Nova Roma. This is very different than the other games on the list, so let's take a look at it. This is ancient Rome city building, strategy driven, systems heavy, and much slower pace than the other games we've covered on this list. You're not chasing kill feeds or boss phases here, you're managing infrastructure, trade, resources, population stability, and political pressure. It's the kind of game where small decisions compound over time. The pace is deliberate, but that's the point. These games live and die by depth. If the systems are layered and well balanced, Nova Roma could become one of those quietly addictive strategy titles that people sink hundreds of hours into. It won't be flashy, but it could be extremely sticky. This is probably going to be a strong fit for some of the players who are looking for a more relaxing experience. It's not super flashy, but it's potentially very addicting. So those are the games I have my eyes on as we head into March. If you had to pick one, what do you plan on loading up? I will be covering all the games that succeed and also some of the ones that flop right here on this channel. This is Still Loading Loot, and I'll see you next time.